What's up, Black Comic Lords? It's your boy Paul back in the building with another dope interview for you. One of the things that I often talk about in this space is how much I enjoy or have wanted to see more of the use of African gods as superheroes. I mean, we occasionally will get it in a Nazi here, in various storylines, but there's a whole plethora of deities that come from the continent, whether it be the orisha or the Egyptian gods, the gods from the Yoruba culture. Just there is a lot of untapped potential that's there. And there's a writer who's come across, who's sort of explored a lot of that in his own writings in a really brilliant way by the name of Frederick Littles. And we've been trying to get him on the show for a while now. We just had a bunch of logistical difficulties and scheduling getting him on, and I'm really excited to finally have him on here. What up to everybody in the chat? Thank you for joining us. Please hit the like button before we get started and you get involved in it. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, everyone, I'd like to introduce Mr. Frederick Littles. Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going? How's it going?
It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time.
Long time coming.
It has been a tremendously long time coming, but we're happy to finally have you here.
Here.
Let's start with some of the basics. How did you get into comics?
So I will tell you, my dad was a comic head. My older brother and everything was a comic head also. And my dad and my uncles really got us into comic books and everything early on in our childhood. So, I used to stick in my brother room and grab, he was a huge Spun fan, X-Men. And so, from my uncles getting, DC and Marvel from, Flash, Green Lantern, Batman, the Avengers, Thor, across the board, everything, right? Black Lightning, Black Panther, we came up on in that lore and getting, just to understand the the comic environment. So, I dabbled into it a little bit. I started writing stories early on in my career and everything in junior high school. My art teacher, Mrs. Welch, she taught me how to draw. And so I took that on to my collegiate years and everything as well. But I kind of fell out of love with comics and art and really fell in love with music. So I kind of just went away from it. It wasn't until, roughly back in 2018, comics and everything came back into my life from grief. My mom passed away from cancer. And so she really planted a seed in a way. She gave me a gift and everything, and I really cherish it because she was all about family. And so in that grief, spun two great stories. My first book, A Comma, and also Magnus. And Magnus was really a story of my family, the entirety of my family and everything. What you see, pretty much the blood, sweat, and tears and everything that came from grief, is rooted in Magnus.
Now, what made you specifically decide to do a universe? Because really, it's not just the story. You've got a whole universe here. What made you decide to do this universe involving these African gods?
So one of the things and stuff when we was planning my mom's funeral and everything, one of my aunties was very, very rooted in historical facts and stuff about the family and everything. So I wanted to get a little bit more about my mom and her side of the house. And I really wanted to delve deep into, her heritage and where she came from. And so I figured the best way to do that everything is just to do the research. And the more and more I explored it, the more I found out, about her heritage and everything, about my family, about my life, which led me down to the path of Africa and everything, right? Really to explore the Yoruba mythology. And,
Where was your mother from?
so she was born in Louisiana. Most of her family, everything was born in Louisiana. Um, and the same thing, from a lot of her story is unknown in a way, mainly because of where she came from. Originally, my mom, we thought her mom's birthday was on November 29th. Kind of found out she was born in February time frame. So we there's a lot of things we had to explore and learn about her as an individual and everything. And the more I explored, the more I found out about her and everything. It was just beautiful. Where she grew up, on a slave plantation and everything, across the board. She had a lot of history about her. And so as I tap into, her life, it led me to Africa. It led me to really understand, okay, their story, because you go to comic book stores, everything, right? One of the things I often explore was, I didn't really see a lot of African gods and goddesses and everything on a shelf. And the more and more I start researching European mythology and everything, and that world or that universe, the more I came to understand, you know, why Africa was so important and why their rich stories should be told to the world to see. But I wanted to tell it in a different light. I wanted to combine not only their mythologies and everything, but also to a Western audience that was really familiar with traditional comics and everything as well. So I wanted to tell a parallel story in a way. I wanted to create, a story to where it was rooted in my background, how I was raised by my parents, my brothers, my aunties and my uncles, and also dab into, okay, what each of these individuals are doing in this universe meant, um, in this region. And so, as you see and you read the books and everything, I would look at from a different goddesses or god.
Mm.
That's really cool. And my auntie, in a way, they possess certain qualities and everything of those deities and stuff like that. So I definitely wanted to tell a parallel story, not only from the European mythology and everything, but also from just a young man, a young boy, chilling with his friends and everything, his upbringing and is whatnot from a single parent home. That's showcasing, from how his mom raised him and how his father came into his life to really close that gap and everything in a way.
Well, let's explore more of that. One of the things that sort of circled around what you've mentioned in terms of your influence on this is how important family is to you. And at the end of the day, Magnus is really just about family and
Mm.
extended family, right? It's basically one very large family feud for all
Yes.
intents and purposes. And let's get into that. I had one question from Pericles Dragon Balls, who's asked, "Have you considered the Nubian and Kushite pantheon?"
I have. As we explore the Magnus universe and everything, we're going to delve into a lot of that mythology and whatnot. And we're going to expand on spin-offs within this universe. So, I'm giving you the central right now because Magnus is a 16 issue arc. To really tell the entirety of the arc and everything, it's going to take 16 issues to do so. And then once that happens, we're already working on a spinoff called the Miscreants, which is kind of like a prelude and everything to before how Magnus even got started. So there's just a lot more to come and a lot more world and everything to explore.
Now, you said that your goal is to complete a 16 issue story arc. You've got 4 issues out right now, right?
Yes,
Let's take a
correct.
look at those 4 issues. Now, first thing that sort of drew me to your series was the art,
Yes.
and specifically the colors. I don't know of too many comics that I can say could possibly have such an explosive immersion of colors than what you have on your comics. I don't know how you put together this art team, but it's first rate. It's absolutely first rate. It's as good, if not better, than what you see in most mainstream comics right now. This
Hmm.
this artwork is absolutely phenomenal. It really pops off the page. How did you put together this art team?
So I would tell you, before I even got started and everything, I met Tyler Martin from Godhood Comics. And I did a submission and everything with him on my first book, Comma. And Tyler gave me
Look
some
at this.
really constructive feedback, and he gave me honest feedback. A lot of people might think it's criticism, right? But it's not. It's really feedback that he gave me, and he told me I had to have an eye for being able to be a comic creator, and you have to make sure you have a good first impression. And so my first impression, everything to him was, hey, the outside of the cover looks great, but the inside of the book, it doesn't match the outside of the cover. So at that point, I told myself, if I really want to do this, I need to really humble myself and take that feedback and apply it. And so when I went out, I
That's
found,
that was actually really good advice because I know for
yes,
me, one of my biggest pet peeves is when um, whatever comic, it doesn't matter if it's mainstream or indie, when you have this really hot cover, this phenomenal art, and then you turn it and open the book, and the interior art looks nothing like what you see on the cover. It's very disappointing to the customer. So that's very sage advice.
yeah, and I took in everything, and I found a great artist, Bruno. Bruno was the artist on issues one, two, three, and four. And he brought forth. He's really he loved X-Men. I love X-Men myself, everything too, Uncanny X-Men. And he brought really that style and everything away. And it started really from my concept artist, really taking my ideals and everything of what I had for each of the characters and everything too, from not only from Magnus, the Orishas, the miscreants across the board, and bringing those characters into life, and then Bruno taking the concepts and really creating this story. And so it was a collective, it was a team. King Bola was the colorist on Magnus, and he brought this world and everything, this immersive world through his colors to life. And one thing I did when I first started everything too was I wanted to really, when I wrote the first issue of Magnus, I wanted a different mindset, a different perspective when it came to writing. And so I brought in Devin R. Scott, who's my co-writer on this series and everything as well, to give me just that different mindset because he loved Thor. And he was more versed in the superhero realm and everything than I was. I was more into philosophy, history, drama, all these different things and stuff as well, right? But he really gave me a different aspect on tying the story and everything together and bring it to life. And this creative team has done wonders on this series. From Letter Squid has been the letter and everything for this series as well. The lettering pops. So I'm very proud of this team.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at this world. I mean, the very first page in the very first book, you're talking about the Adua sector, which is also known as Earth. Explain the backdrop of this universe because you have these characters from another world, but it's not just another world, it's like another realm, so to speak. Explain that.
So it's pretty much like a parallel universe and everything too, right? Planet Nulon is really a planet where you would hear a lot more of and everything from the miscreant standpoint, which is kind of like Earth and everything in a way, but it's more advanced than Earth. Uh, these individuals and everything has been blessed by the Orishas. The Orishas have really created this planet, everything in their image and everything in a way, and select people within this planet, everything have powers, and they have superpowers, and everything, and they don't have the same superpowers and whatnot across the board. They have different things and whatnot, and so
These
this
people
world,
that have the powers, are they descendants of the Orisha or offspring of the
yes,
Orisha?
yes. So I don't want to, I don't want to ruin it and everything for everybody, the story and everything, pretty much. But there is uh, three brothers, Stamos, General Stamos, King Magnus, and Anik. And pretty much they're a reflection of me and my brothers and everything too. My older brother and my younger brother. They're pretty much us in this story. And in this essence and everything, they was given blessings and stuff by the Orishas. And from there, they went out and found underlings and everything away that had that moxie that can become, powerful individuals and everything as well. But they have to be able to harness their power and go through different trials to receive those gifts and everything from the Orishas. And you will delve a little bit more if you read the books and everything too. Those fact sheets that's in there really give you a little bit of backstory thing, context wise, into planting the seeds of how things came about from the Orishas realm. There's a different realm within the realm of the Orishas, and the only way you can get there and everything is you have to receive blessings to go into that space, to be able to speak in the spiritual realm and everything of the Orishas, to be in their presence and everything. And so for you to be gifted that blessing, that power, and that's rooted in the story throughout each and every book that we write and everything. So, and that was back to Earth. We often send up prayers and everything to, to God and everything for, different blessings and stuff. It's a similar same effect and everything for the Orishas. And so that's how you're able to harness everything from those different universes and stuff is a parallel story from Earth and Nulon.
Let's take a look at the Orishas, and I just want to emphasize to everyone the same art that you see on those covers. It's the same art that you're seeing on the interior of the book. That's how dope this artwork is. I just want to give an example of to let the people understand what we're talking about. Is there a way you can make that even bigger, Derek? Yeah. So this is an example of what the interior artwork looks like. Maybe Derek can zoom in on this a bit. This is the fantastic artwork we're talking about. Now, these are three of the Orisha here.
Yes, so you have Olakan, Oshan,
Well,
Imaya as well.
all right. I just wanted to give people a view of what the type of artwork on just a random page looks like in this book. This is fantastic art,
Thank you, thank you.
and the representations of melanated peoples, melanated gods. This is fantastic stuff. I really can't talk enough about it. One of the things that you mentioned was the level of detail that you put, even in the lettering. I see a lot like how you see where it says the word essence. You like emphasize in the lettering certain words.
Mhm.
What was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, working with Justin at Letter Squiz and everything, we really wanted to, these deities and stuff, right? They are tremendous figures, and we really want to match their voice as resounding and everything. So when you're within their presence and stuff, we want to give them their own different personalities. And so with Olacon being one of the supreme goddesses and stuff of this realm, we wanted to give her a little bit more take and everything on her image, her presence and stuff in the with the other gods and goddesses and stuff like that. So they would come pretty much bowing to her to let her know, hey, look, we know you are the supreme, and we worship you and everything in a way as well. So you'll see that in lettering. I think lettering is very important because again, if you're just going through basic lettering and everything and just reading the book, you're not, you can miss some things or you can misinterpret certain things. And I think with emphasizing certain words and stuff in this essence right here, with Olacon's saying essence, the way she is and everything, the response from the other guys, Ocean and Yaman and everything, there was, hey, we apologize. We're sorry that we're late. And you kind of get that from that effect. And so we really wanted to really hone in on lettering throughout the entirety of this book. And that's one reason why I selected Letter Squiz, because look at their work and everything too. Justin has a great eye for capturing certain things. And even within the script and everything too, he might find something that might be, to me, that might be more resounding to a reader that I might have missed. And so that's why I say we talk about a collective team. It's important to have a team on hand because even as a writer, I might miss that. And they might be able to provide that perspective and everything from their lane because of their experience set and everything too. So I don't really, handcuff them and everything in a way when it comes to, bringing their ideas and everything forth. That's the beauty of this process, right? Your team has experience, ideals within this community and stuff that makes your book better. And like I said, I couldn't have done it without them.
I also here's another random page. Giving an example of a few things that we talked about. The first of all, the color. how the colors just jump off the page and just slap you. The shading, you know, the way that the lettering is done to like make it stand out. I mean, it brings so much action to the page to have it done in this way,
Yeah.
and it gives it a very cinematic feel, right down to the expressions of the faces. It's just I appreciate stuff like this, man. I mean, maybe I'm just kind of an old comic head, but seeing pages like this and it just resonates with you and really helps the story along. It's you go beyond just simple comic book art and doing storytelling. I truly appreciate this. This is absolutely fantastic work. Let's do a rundown of these characters. Let's starting with the main character. This book is named after Magnus Jakuta. How do you pronounce? How do you? Am I pronouncing it right? Is it Jakuta?
Yeah. Yeah. Chakuda.
Where'd you get that name from? Is there any? And is there any special?
Yes. There's and I can't give it away right now because there's a little bit of story element into that
Without being
name.
a spoiler. Without being a spoiler.
There's a little bit of story element, everything to the name is actually rooted into the plot as well, of the story and everything. There is how can I say this and everything if I ruin it too much? Uh, there's a certain deity or two deities. I won't name them. That's central to that name. And if you understand the lore of the orishas and everything, there's particular one deity that's really really powerful, and I would leave it at that. And that's the name Jakuta has come. That's what has rooted in everything. You would learn a lot more about that plot in issues 7, 8, and 9 when it comes up. But it's definitely tied to the story.
So he's our central figure. We know that he is a descendant of one of the people, the Nulians. How do you pronounce it?
Nulian,
Nulians.
yes.
Um, let's go to who his parents are on the next slide. All right, so here's his parents: King Ragnus of Nulian and Anja, who's an Earth woman.
Correct.
Give us a rundown on King Ragnus first.
So again, King Ragnus and everything was the ruler of Nulian. He was the king and everything there. However, there was a rebellion, and that's where the brothers come into play and everything. So Anik really was the hothead. I like to call him everything. He was a hothead. He didn't agree with Ragnus on certain things all the time, and so he felt like Ragnus was holding the planet and everything back because he was more about ruling people, ruling different worlds and stuff like that. And Ragnus was more about peace, and so he led an uprising against Ragnus. And again, you will hear a lot more about this and everything, and kind of like in the fact sheets, but also sprinkled within the story thing as well. Uh, Instead of killing his brother because he's very powerful, Ragnus, he fled his country and he fled to Earth. How he got there was through again. I look at from a without ruining the story too much. Everything I would just say Olakun had a hand in guiding his path to Earth. And she has a hand in a lot of other things and stuff too. I like to call her the master weaver in a way. She's the puppeteer and everything of trying to uh, counter Oleron, who's the supreme god. And so she's really dangling the web and everything here, planting seeds that starts with King Ragnus there. Anja, here's Magnus's mom and everything, and she, when Ragnus came to Earth, he actually crashed in her grocery store that night, and she found him severely wounded and everything, and she brought him back to health and stuff like that. And then from
Now
there, like I said,
she's actually she lives in the United States, but she's actually from where?
so she's from, she lives in Chicago and everything, but she's actually from Africa.
Do you know which country? I know you mentioned that she's got I believe, a Yoruba background. Would you know what
Yeah,
country she's from?
Yes, but I can't give it up.
Oh, you can't give it up yet. Okay, that's a spoiler.
That's a spoiler.
All right. So super powerful alien dude crash lands on Earth. They fall in love, and they produce Magnus, who, for all intents
Yes,
and purposes, is the heir to the throne.
yes,
All right. So let's go on. Let's move on and check out the rest of this family. And just we also this is a slight spoiler because you don't really find out about this character until really about issue 3 or so.
yes,
Um, but Magnus has a sister
correct.
named Michaela. Tell us about Michaela.
So McKellar,
And
you know,
by the way, that's my daughter's name as well.
she's when I came up with her character and everything, I have two daughters, Lejanae and Ava, and I wanted to take both elements, everything of who they were, and really create this character who's fun, who's you know, a little bit of a hot head. She's very competitive and everything too. She has a lot of attitude and spunk, uh, and you would see that a lot with siblings and everything, rivalry wise. They try to one up each other and everything too. That's her. But she's really, when I look at one of my favorite characters, Storm, she's kind of my version of Storm and everything in a way, right? But she has a mixed amount of powers and everything that has been, she received blessings and stuff for certain orishas. And that's one thing we notice on the fact sheets too. They're not all maxed out. And like Magnus, right now he's at a certain power set. He has not fully developed his powers as of yet. He'll develop them over time. And as they go through different trials, through different periods of time, and everything to receive those blessings, and everything from the Rishas, you'll start seeing their powers and everything increase in certain capacities when not over the story. And I think that's a good balance, and everything in a way to really tell a story and everything to where you're not giving a person all of their powers up front. Magnus really early on everything doesn't know he even have powers, and Mikala is somewhat similar, but she's a little bit more advanced than Magnus because she's been with her dad versus and again I don't want to ruin the story too much and everything, uh, but she lives with her dad and everything, right, in Chicago, and so she has been trained in some capacity, whatnot, to really retain her power to where she really does the showcases when she's playing tennis and stuff like that, right? So you'll see little things here and there to where you would say, hey, she's her service really really powerful, and she again being competitive and everything competitive. She likes to up the ante a little bit, so she serves way faster than a regular human being and everything, right? And so, to me, being able to put my daughters and everything in a way, 'cause they love volleyball. My youngest one, she's the boss of the family. She has a little bit of an attitude and everything. And then at the same time, too, my oldest daughter is a social butterfly. That's her in a way. So I really love this character. You're gonna learn a lot more about her, especially in issues 5 and 6.
All right. So let's check out sort of the more extended family, her uncles. General Stamos and Anique. These are the brothers of General or King Ragnus.
Yes,
All right. Is King Ragnus the older or middle brother?
he's the middle.
Stamos being the older brother and Anique being the younger. Just
Yes.
just so we're clear, we have the Orisha who were gods on Earth thousands of years ago. They have their descendants, the Nulians. Um, the Nulians eventually leave Earth to this other realm. Is that what happened?
So I would tell you from a standpoint of how Nulon came about, uh, and you'll learn a lot about this in the prequel and everything too. Ogun and Alegua created Nulia, that planet, and they created the Nulanites and everything in their image and everything in a way. Uh, as they was receiving threats and stuff through their universe, their galaxy and everything, uh, their different orishas and stuff blessed certain people, certain Nulianites, uh, and gift them everything their powers. So you have King Ragnus, Anique, and King, General Stamos here as just a portion of the people that receive those gifts and everything. They didn't give them, they didn't give everybody those gifts. Only a select few, right? That was worthy of their powers. And so over time, everything I say, you would see more characters come up and about and everything as well. And with King Magnus and everything being the ruler, this family right here received powers from a select uh, uh, blend of orishas. Like I said, I'm not trying to go into the story too much because there's a lot more to tell. But just know that from a standpoint of two orishas, they did a little bit more than they should have, and this is kind of like again. A stain on what the orishas and everything are about, but in the end of the day, and everything too, they create something beautiful from it. And so as you get to know and everything a little bit more about these brothers and everything right here, a lot more of their story will come out, and you will see it and everything between this rivalry they have and everything between really Anik and everything in a way who wants to really rule everyone and he wants to conquer everything, and it doesn't matter what planet, what universe, uh, that's who he is. He's a conqueror.
What's Enick's power set?
Uh, so Anik has a unique power set and everything from and if you look at it from a different standpoint of all of the Orishas, he set out to master all of their powers. Yet, he's been held back by the supreme goddess to be able to harness that power because he know the dangers and everything that he will possess if he's able to harness, all of these skill sets and these powers and everything. And I think everything in a way is he's hell bent again on having his power, right? But you have to again, you have to receive these blessings. He's yet to receive one blessing. He has not been deemed worthy of such power and everything, and that's why, again, from a plot standpoint, uh, that's where Magnus comes into play. Uh, he's kind of like the nexus and everything in a way. I would say, from a Nick standpoint, I say he has a range of powers. But if I was to give him, relatable wise, uh, Doctor Strange, he possessed a lot of magical like powers and everything, a sorcery, dark sorcery and everything too, right? But he has a range of the Orishas powers they can tap into.
And then his oldest brother, General Stamos.
Yes,
Um, he's kind of who we see at the beginning of the book first reach out to Magnus to warn him of the coming of the rest of the family.
correct.
What's his give his background and his power set?
So General Stamos, everything he's he's the wise one. He's my older brother, right? He has never lost a battle that he has fought. He's he leads a really really uh, powerful you know collective group of people and everything called the miscreants and those armies and stuff like that. There's a lot of backstory and everything to him between him and Bly's, between him and Jinx and Atax that are tied to his story and everything, his character profile in a way. Uh, but when it comes to him and everything, right, he has a lot of kinetic like powers, earthly like powers, so he can summon everything. So you would see a lot of that, especially in issue number one. I did give him a little bit, from a Superman standpoint, being a Superman fan and everything, some elements and stuff of Superman as well. But he can again summon certain things and stuff because of what a reach and everything blessed him. I will tell you everything too. A lot of these individuals and everything that you see here were blessed by multiple orishas and stuff because they went through trials to gain those powers. They just didn't automatically get those powers and everything. That they actually proved themselves worthy to receive those powers. And so General Stamos, like I said, he received uh, uh, quite a few powers and everything, but one power set that I think was very important was give him the power of wisdom and to give him knowledge to be able to when he says things and stuff to you and everything, you listen. He he gives you a meaning, a purpose in life, and so that's one thing I look for my older brother and everything. Right, when he spoke, it wasn't always listen. Even though he thought I was listening to everything, I was listening to him. And so with Stamos, I wanted to find that one character.
But he's not just an academic though. He's also a warrior, right? Like he's a general.
Yeah. Oh yes, he's definitely a warrior and everything too. Like I said, but uh, he's the one that kind of like holds back a lot when he doesn't need to, go out there and be distracted or anything away with his powers and whatnot. Right. Like again, he's more calculated. Uh, he's more reserved with his powers. Now when he unleashes them, don't get me wrong, he's definitely that person.
One of the things that you mentioned was a spin-off series called The Miscreants that you're coming out with. The Miscreants is a group of, I guess, a unit of soldiers that were put together and led by General Stamos, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's go through those characters. Let's take a look at that. I guess this is his main guy, his first lieutenant, so to speak.
Yeah, this is Blas.
Who is this character?
So Blige is again, he's not a hothead. He envies Stamos. He wants to take his spot really in a way. He has learned everything he ever learned and everything from Stamos, but he feel like he can't learn anything else from him, and he's just standing in the way for the spot that he really wants. He wants to be able to lead the miscreants and everything, right? And this one guy is stopping him from doing so. And so the only way he can do everything is he's that person that's behind the scenes plotting, to very devious or anything in a way. And that's him. That's Blas. And so you'll find that certain things and stuff, everything, and especially in issue 1, when Stamos again, did not follow these orders and whatnot, he sent the miscreants and everything out to find Stamos to bring him back to Nulon to stand trial. Uh, Blas was the one to lead that group and everything, Jinx and Atax, to seek out General Stamos. And this was where he got his first opportunity and everything to prove his worth to Anik, that he can lead the miscreants going forward. And so you see him come to Earth and everything, and he is powerful. He has trained side by side with General Stamos. He has, again, been his right hand from day one. But again, every now and then you get your right hand, everything wants to take that power from themselves, and that's Blas everything in a way.
All right, but there are some other members of this team of the miscreants. Let's check them out. We've got Jinx and Atax. Let's start with Jinx.
Yeah, Jinx is one of my favorites and everything because her and Stamos have a very unique relationship and everything. There's a little bit of a love interest and everything there as well. And a little bit of backstory also. That Jinx, where really Blas had a hand in. Again, without ruining it and without ruining the plot and everything of their story, uh, uh, Jinx holds, I would say, she blames Stamos for someone's death that's very important to her. And she has helped this grief and everything inside, her rage and everything, uh, knowing that, not knowing really the truth of the matter. And so she uses everything to really take out this rage against Stamos at every step of the way. But at the end of the day, she has a heart, right? And usually her heart gets the best of her and everything. She's really the collective, that the glue that keeps the team and everything together. With Atax is like my mini Hulk and everything in a way, right? If you see this big axe right here, this axe was one of his first blessings that he received from Ogun. Ogun was able to, wield this axe and everything for a Nulian knight that was worthy of such a powerful, weapon. And so Ogun forged this axe and everything. You won't see it probably. You probably see it later on in the universe or everything. There's a Thor-like moment for Atax and everything, who's able to wield this axe and everything and attain it. But Atax is very powerful. But Atex is the one that doesn't use his head when he goes into battle and everything, right? He let rage consume him to the point to where he can't control it. He lusts for blood. He's that warrior and everything, pretty much that just wants to destroy everything in his path. But Atex has an incredible story that I cannot wait to share. But Stamos took him in like a son and everything in a way to really
Mhm.
train him, and so he's just a brute warrior. He's gonna be a fun character.
Let's check out some more of these supporting characters. So you mentioned a number of times before these two gods. These are sort of
Yes,
the big main orisha. Please go through this.
this is my yin and yang right here, right? These two are they sit on the high throne. They're your supreme goddess and everything too. Oleron is a supreme. He's the all-seeing God. He can see everything that's happened, transpired in the entire universe. He is the one that rules all. Uh, However, though, from a standpoint of Olacon and everything, he brought her to his realm to be his opposite, to give him, that other sense of perspective and everything. But Olacon has grown tired of Oleron ruling from the high. And so she has become this master weaver, and that's how Magnus came about. Everything the story has come about to where she is plotting to uh, do some things behind the scenes that Oleron is not seeing right now because he's distracted. And I'll leave it at that.
Mm. All right. Let's check out the next one. Here's some more of the Orisha gods that we first meet with Olorun.
Yeah,
These are two of the more popular Orisha that people are familiar with.
yeah. So you'll see these two and everything is really definitely within the issue number one. And Olacon has given them a mission that really delves into who Magnus and everything becomes. And they're kind of like, in a way, you have those godparents, everything out there, right? If I was speaking in the human terms, uh, they're the ones that really is watching over Magnus throughout his journey. And Olacon has really set them on a path to where you know there are going to be some certain things come up in the later chapters, the later issues. That's going to shock a lot of people, and you're going to see how powerful Oleron really is. And so we got some fun things and everything that were, these two, again, we're going to utilize them in a way that really send that message and everything of, you know, this universe we have created is a beautiful universe, but it's also our playground to play and everything too with these characters. And each of these characters and everything have a different personality set, and they bring something different to the table, different to the lore. And again, we're going to utilize the entirety of all of the reaches and everything we have selected for this first arc to really embellish this story.
So there's a method to the madness as to why these particular Orisha are being used.
Yes,
All
yes.
right. Check out the next page there. Now, beyond the supernatural support that Magnus, your main character, has, he also has a down to earth best friend. Can you tell us who this is?
So this is Shantae Richards. Shantae is a very, very fun character. We wanted to give her again a different personality that kind of balance Magnus everything in a way that kind of grounds him and everything too at the same time. And like every character and everything out there that has somewhat of a love interest. Early on, Shantae is not that person, right? She's more of a friend and everything, but she sprinkled little nuggets here and there that she has, a little bit of an interest in everything more than just being friends with
Right.
Magnus. And so you would see her and everything. She's very smart. She's genius. And again, I won't go into what's happening everything there from a standpoint of her arc, but it's going to be very important because it ties into who she becomes and decisions she has to make later on down the line. And so people will use your genius for good or bad. I put it to you like that, right? Uh, and with her and everything, she's going to be a very important character that Magnus will have to really come to understand, and she had to come to understand too, and everything he has to become as well. Uh, and so it's going to be a perfect parallel balance and everything to their story arc going forward for the entirety of the season and everything. And like I said, right now there's going to be some critical decisions that to be made on what we do going forth and everything, especially with her character. And
Right.
just like we did with Stamos, a lot of people will probably, if you never read Magnus, you probably hate me after the fact. But just know from the realm of the reach and everything, when I lost my mother, my mom and everything, she never left me in a way. Her story is always been told. She's always there. And I'm always, sprinkling seeds here and everything too. And so with certain characters and whatnot, we're going to do the same thing because to me, that's one of the many blessings, everything of the riches and stuff that have gifted, life to people.
I had a slight nitpick. We recently did this live, or like, you guys don't, you got to be very critical of creators, what have you, and
That was a great
don't be
episode.
so soft. So I had a nitpick. When the orisha are speaking to each other, are they speaking English?
Yes. So there are certain things and stuff, right? And that's one thing I was very cautious of because a lot of people, uh, we have a hard time uh, uh, looking at different translations and stuff, especially in Europe. And at one time, I was like, you know what? Let's put the boxes and everything in there that allows the races and everything to speak Yoruba in our bubbles, and then just put like a little narration box and stuff below, kind of like a box where you can see the meanings and stuff of what's being translated, translation box. But the more boxes and stuff we had added onto the page, it was covering the artwork. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to cover the artwork. I hate doing that. Uh, to me, that's more important than anything else to showcase the artist's work and everything versus cluttering a page. And so the other piece of the puzzle and everything too was okay, well, the audience, who's the majority of the audience going to be reading this book that speak English? Now, one thing we have done and thought about everything too is there would be an African version of this book that's pretty much going to be in that different language set and everything as well. And that's, again, take resources and funding and everything to make that happen, to be able to translate an entire book and everything to where we're adding that European mythology and that lingo into a book for that translation piece. So it was a cautious decision I had to make and everything to balance out and say, hey, look, let's focus on make sure that artwork and everything is being seen and shown within its first couple of issues, everything, to see how the people actually react to it.
When The reason I ask is when Stamos first encounters Magnus out on the street, he immediately is able. Magnus is immediately is able to communicate with him. So you're kind of asking, as the reader, if you know that he's from this other realm, how are they able to communicate? How are they speaking the same language? An easier thing, I think, would have been to have them able to speak to each other and have Shantae go, "What are you guys saying to each other? Why are you now speaking some other language, Magnus? I don't know what's going on." And it's kind of established that instinctually Magnus already understands the Nulian language, whether it be, and I wouldn't refer to it as Yoruba, although obviously that's probably what it is.
Mhm.
But just say, I don't know how I'm able to talk to him, but I'm hearing you speak some language I don't understand. And that would have been an easy explanation of the whole thing. Then you don't have to do word bubbles or translation things. It's just established that when they're communicating amongst each other, whether it be the Anulians or the Orisha or Magnus or the with the Anulians or and the Orisha, it's understood that he's speaking their language because he's part of their. It's kind of like his power set.
Mm. No, I get it. Definitely good feedback and everything. Definitely a good take on it. Yeah, that's what I'm definitely gonna think about.
That's something you might want to throw into a future issue. Just throw it in there.
Yeah, I think I gave in issue number two. Uh, you see a little bit of from a standpoint of when he goes into the Orisha's realm and everything in a
Right.
way. And you get a visual and everything where Shantae said, what's happening, Magnus? Where you going and everything, right? She's kind of like, freaking out there for a little bit. And Magnus really doesn't know what's happening to himself. He's just going to this void and everything. One of the power session thing I gave there was spiritual connection, to where only
Hmm.
he possesses and everything too. Right, he's been given that gift by the orishas to be able to speak to them directly and everything. Not everyone will have that power to do so. And so we kind of tied in everything that way into the story elements and everything as well. But I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah, yeah. Is one of the things you just said was, she was Shantae was freaking out was what's going on in the grand scheme of things, and I don't want to give any spoilers as to what happens later on, as to what makes this question relevant. But in the grand scheme of things, can you tell us if in this Earth there is the supernatural or superpowered beings, is that already established? Is that something that's sort of known, that there are people that have powers that are out there? Because Shantae and Magnus's reaction to seeing Stamos come up to this guy flying, he's wearing this superhero outfit and he's doing all this fantastic things. They don't seem as phased as you might expect them to be. So is it established in their on their Earth already that there are people that have powers, whatever they may be?
Yeah, you're gonna start seeing some nuggets and everything dropping in a lot of the future issues and everything. Uh, the government has a lot of hand in a lot of their story elements and stuff. And you're gonna start seeing some things pop up uh, throughout the arc and everything too. And then from even after this arc, we already planned original graphic novel. The devil is going to lead up and everything too. That we're going to actually showcase, different beings that's already there on Earth. Uh, that's where I would leave it.
Okay. Okay. So that now gives it more context and makes more sense to me.
And
All right,
that's
let's
how
go back
you
to this.
that's how you bring in the other pantheons and everything. I think the question was asked earlier.
Now you're giving spoilers. I'm trying to avoid doing spoilers. I didn't. All right,
Just a little
let's
bit tease.
we can delete that and post. And we can't do that. All right, Derek. Let's go back. Let's go back to this character breakdowns. You mentioned the government. Who's this guy?
So this is Aldrich Haynes. He's a part of the Federation. He's an agent there. He just have it. He just has it out for Magnus. He hate super beings, and so he's a part of this secret organization called the Watch. There's a small set of agents and everything. They're especially trained, especially skilled and everything too. That goes after these beings, and they're doing research and everything on these individuals and stuff to create a program to where they can protect Earth at all costs. And so you will see a lot more of them coming up and everything here again, starting with issues number uh, I want to say 6. You got a little bit of depth and everything of him in issue number 2, and a little bit also in issue number 1. But they're going to be a very important factor in everything when it comes forth from getting that human element to where behind the scenes and stuff, how the government is involved in this program and what they're doing. And so as we continue to explore this universe and everything, like I said, the original graphic novel will really delve into, what the Federation consists of, who are to watch, and why they're so important.
Right. Let's check out our next character. Well, those are all our characters. So, as a collective, the miscreants go after Magnus,
Yes,
and it does not go as they expected.
it does not.
It does not. Um, you have the spin-off series that you're going to be doing. Is it a prequel series?
Yes. So with that series and everything, right? Blas is very young. He is coming of age. He is not the lieutenant for Stamos as of yet. King Ragnar and everything is on Nulon, and he again have his brothers as his advisors, General Stamos and everything as the leader of the armies and stuff like that as well. But you'll see a young Jinx and a young Atex as well as a part of the story, but not rooted in the main story. You will see really uh, some new characters that they have not, we have not made a part of the original Magnus arc, which is going to be very important to the story going forward. How everything came about, and there's two different characters that we're going to introduce and everything. One would be Anik's wife, and then also we're going to introduce uh, Jink's brother in this story, and so that would be
Okay.
the original. That would be the original cast of the miscreants from the onset.
Well,
And
speaking of what you have coming up in the future, I think you've given us some previews of what we can expect in issue 5.
yeah,
What are we looking at here?
so with issue number 5 and everything, one of the reasons why I give praise to Bruno, because Bruno, not only Magnus' a part of his portfolio, it gave him a launch pad to go work for DC Comics. And Bruno and everything has done some great work and everything, not only for DC but also uh, for Magnus, and open opportunity up for a new artist, a new team to come about and everything as well to take the baton. Uh, I will tell you from an indie creator, production is sometimes production hell. And Magnus number 5 has been in production hell and everything in a way. Because one thing I didn't plan for is losing Bruno for a considerable amount of time. And so we didn't want to postpone and and delay Magnus number 5 any longer. And so I was very selective on bringing in a new artist, a new team to take the baton and give Bruno and KB a little bit of time and everything to not only uh, uh, get back into the seat to work on different projects and everything as well. But Lewis and Matthias has done a great job and everything from the artists and the colorists. And we'll be bringing back Letter Squids to letter issue number 5 also. But with this one right here, everything issue 5 is completely inked. Is going through colors and everything right now. And then we get it. It's been sitting with the editor for a little bit. It's been fully edited. So just got the last revision back, and now we're ready to go to letters once we get finished with colors. So issue number 5 is close. We're so close to getting this thing ready to go and everything. And our goal has always been is to release an issue in December because that's the month my mom passed away. So we've been working hard behind the scenes to make this happen, and we're looking forward to getting it out to the readers as soon as possible.
This is absolutely fantastic stuff, man. Well, now you have some other series that you have coming up as well, right?
Correct,
Some
correct.
other work that you've done. What's Blood War?
So Blood Wars is a collaboration with Spoof Animation. If you early on in the year, I dropped a trailer for Magnus Jakuta. And I was trying to dabble a little bit into animation to see what it looks like and everything going forth. It was to create an animated series. We wanted to create a series that was really, beautiful, but also bring in a company that's really based in Africa to make it happen. And so Spoof Animation came about. They did some work and everything for us, and then they pitched a comic book series to Wise Acre Comics. When I got the script and everything, and I read it. I was like, man, this is awesome. This is this is God of Wars and Lord of the Rings all combined, everything into one. And you're talking about from a political standpoint, there's politics and there's magic all mixed into this one universe, this one realm. And so, this series is going to surprise a lot of people. Blood Wars is going to really surprise a lot of people. We brought in Abasi Amari to edit this book, and he did a beautiful job. The story has really, really come to life. It's a prophecy about the three sons. It's a dark prophecy and everything where this king has these three sons and whatnot, and he doesn't know which one is out to really kill him and everything. He's going to do everything in his power pretty much to prevent death from happening, right? And so he's going to scheme, he's going to do all the different things and whatnot to make it to where he still will rule this region no matter the cost. And so again, it's a very powerful story. Spoof has done a great job and everything. They're rooted in Nigeria. That's one thing I really from a standpoint of Wise Acre Comics, investing in that region to bring our stories, everything to life. This will be the second book I publish from a creator from Africa to really share their story and everything with the world. And Blood Wars,
This artwork is absolutely fantastic, man. I mean, this
they
is
did a
just
great job.
absolutely dope. Wow. When's the Kickstarter dropping on this?
So we'll be launching. Hopefully, we'll be launching this Kickstarter and everything in uh, December or January timeframe. So we're gonna give us a little bit of marketing and everything as well. Work with the team and everything on the Kickstarter campaign page, and then once that's ready to go, we're gonna make some announcements to get ready to launch it.
Well, when you're ready to start promoting that, make sure you hit us up.
Definitely, definitely.
Let's look at the other. You had something else. Oh, this was the other one. Talking about art. I mean, before you even explain what this is about, which is dope in and of itself, um, this art, what you immediately notice, look at the cover, look at the interior art. Exact same. It's not one of those bait and switch type things. This fantastic cover art that you see is also what you have in the interiors. Tell us what this book is about.
Yeah. So this is Veve, and so roughly a couple of years back, everything. My oldest daughter went through a trying time in her life. And as a father and everything, I hate to see my kids and everything go through certain things and stuff where I can't do anything for them other than just be there. And so we did work, through doctors and everything to make her just get her back to where she needs to be and everything to thrive in life and stuff like that as well. And so one thing we notice about my stories and everything that there's a pain point uh, that's unique to me and everything away so we can make it really realistic and everything. And that's her story. This is this individual and everything to where this young lady, Lisa, had lost. She has gone on a tremendous loss in her life, uh, and she's set on a path, of course, and everything to where her story is gonna be shared with the world. While I was overseas for like the last 3 years and everything, traveling through Europe, one thing I took from that region was not only its history, its religion, and how important family were to certain societies and whatnot, certain groups of people. And with her and everything too, her story and everything, this is going to be rooted into voodoo. And again, this is a little bit of New Orleans and everything too. That's a stage that's set for this story and everything right here. And she would come to find that she is the heir to Papa Legba, who is a voodoo deity. And she's going to become the champion, the guardian of the crossroads, everything way to where you're transitioning from life to death and everything, right? And she has to be able to summon those spirits and everything where they can cross over to that realm, to that world. And however, though, there's going to be some dark forces that she would come about everything to where it's going to try to prevent her from doing so, uh, and to take that power and everything upon herself. And these characters and everything that you have here will play a very important role in her life to prepare her for what's to come. And this is going to be a beautiful story. Um, uh, this is just a start, something that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to again telling this story. Right now, Bossy has the final draft to edit. All of the colors, everything, all of the inks, everything are done. Once the edit and everything comes back, just be ready to go early next year.
Hmm. I love the story. This artwork is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, there was a lot of research that went into this book and everything. So even my artist and stuff too, right? He went and really got into the the story and everything itself by going out there getting resources and stuff. Going out there actually speaking to a voodoo priestess and everything to understand the lore, what's required, everything, what's needed, and stuff like that as well. Uh, and I'll tell you, they made me a believer of voodoo is real because there are certain things and stuff that we dabble into, and it was like that actually happened. No, we gotta get this right. And so when you actually see certain things that she's actually doing everything through her practices and whatnot. There are certain things and stuff the artist did, and he actually put it in the actual story and everything too. I won't run it for him, but we 1 week his tablet broke. He had to stop for a week of drawing and everything because he did the wrong. He took a key and pointed the wrong direction. Went against what the voodoo priests and everything said to do, and not follow the instructions directly and whatnot. So uh, there's a little bit of a taste and everything of what
Yeah,
that
don't
relation.
don't tell me stuff like that, man. You're gonna make them very superstitious. Don't tell me stuff like that. The whole
But
book.
it was a great story and everything. Again, this is the art of storytelling, and I definitely love this team on this book.
Um, what's amazing is the amount of quality of what Wiseacre does. In terms of the plots, because these are all original characters. These are
Yes,
all original stories. These aren't like, analogs for existing characters that we have in other comics. This is all new from the ground up. Um, I do have a question for these three books that we just talked about: Magnus, Vive, and how do you pronounce it? Vive,
Vevey,
Vive,
Vevey.
and the other one,
Blood Wars.
Blood Wars. Are they in a shared universe at all?
They're not. They're not in the shared universe.
Okay, so you created three separate universes for these. This is awesome. Um, using top tier artistic talent, attention to detail, colors are amazing. Um, why is I really have to? I keep coming back to the colors. Why is it that is this intentional? Is that kind of the Wiseacre style? Is to have this splash of colors that you have on here?
So I have been very selective and everything. Like I said, I study, I did a lot of art and everything in high school and in college, and took a lot of courses, everything there, and I have just an eye for certain things that I love and I crave that I want. And a lot of times everything too is a lot of clubs everything reach out to us and want to work with us and everything and ask them to send me a portfolio. And I look at the portfolio and everything and I say, you know what, this can be a great match for this project and everything right here. Give me a simple page. Um, and usually when I do my scripts and everything, I will emphasize certain things and stuff or a different style. I would do research and everything on, a different setting, a different tone. And to me, when you're telling a story and everything, that has to resonate because the inks, great, yes. But from a color standpoint, if the colors don't really set the tone for the environment that you're in and everything, it can miss the mark. And so I really, that's why it takes a lot of time. It takes a lengthy period of time to create these books because we're going page by page oftentimes to make sure
Yeah.
that the palette, every color palette is where it needs to be at. And so we really focus on those things. And quality is one of the most important things I really focus on. Make sure that, hey, look, I give you a first impression that you will come back to the story going forth. And that way you can purchase issue number 2, 3, 4, and down the line.
Every single page in these books is a work of art, and that quality and attention to detail really shows. So
Thank you.
props to you guys, man. Where can anyone who wants to purchase these books get it from? Is there a website?
So yeah, so the first thing you notice everything on the back of every book is a QR code that takes you directly to our website, wiseacre.us. That's where you can purchase, all of our books and everything that comes out. Right now, we're going through kind of like a reorg and everything away to where we're doing everything digitally right now, and then we're trying to again from a production standpoint, because we're a small indie publisher and everything, to really work with our partners and everything to where we can bring print costs and everything down to really have a steady flow of hardcover books come out and everything to where you can actually get physical books, physical copies. So if we're not running the Kickstarter and everything, you actually go to our website and from there you can actually purchase those books and everything too. And so with that, like I said, not only us from Wiseacre Comics, we do also have a staple of books from the House of Wise that we come out, hopefully next year time frame. From other creators, everything we have partnered with, especially like from Nigel Lynch, who has a great series, The Diary of the Stray Dogs, Critical Ops Task Force, from Mark and his series Dark Sentinel. We have Jared and his new series coming out called Pitman. We have also have Octavia coming out with a great series that's going to blow you away when it comes to art and story. The Matriarch, and then finally and everything, we also have we're going to dive into manga to where we will release Monica's new series called Habit Theory. And so we're doing a lot of work and everything behind the scenes. We're putting a lot of work and everything in to make sure you have quality stories, quality books, and hopefully one day the books will be in your local comic book stores.
Wow. I'm just looking at these other titles you have. Diary of Stray Dogs.
Yeah, that's a great story right there.
Yeah.
That book is amazing.
All right. So, Frederick, really want to show our appreciation for you coming on the show and sharing these books with us. And look, y'all who are watching this, first of all, hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the Black Comic Lords, so you can be exposed to all these incredibly talented Black comic book creators that are out there and these fantastic books they're doing. Frederick, we have a tradition at Black Comic Lords that when you come on the show, we consider you family. And
Appreciate it.
we want to solidify that by having you look into the camera, say your name, and say that I'm a Black Comic Lord.
My name is Frederick Littles, and I am a Black Comic Lord.
All right. Well, welcome to the band. You're in the
Appreciate
club
it.
now. We'll give you their secret handshakes and passwords later on.
Awesome.
I meant what I said before. When you're ready to put out those other books, please hit us up first. Don't let anybody else,
Yeah,
give us the
definitely.
scoop.
I'll tell you what, for I'm prepping the Kickstarter thing for Blood Wars. I would love to do a special tier for Black Comic Lords and everything for the Blood Wars tier. We're working on a variant cover right now, and it's gonna be something special. I would let that be an exclusive cover for Black Comic Lords and their viewers and viewership and everything.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure the fans will. You guys show some love to Frederick. Let him know how much you appreciate that. He's doing that for y'all. You guys that are watching this right now, appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much. Until next time, Frederick, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Black Comic Lords, we got you.